Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our beautiful new Corte Madera Town Hall. It is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, waiting for the Pineapple Express to come in and the big atmospheric river, so we'll make it a nice, warm, not too long meeting. Okay, so can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Andrews,
Present.
Councilmember Beckman,
Here.
Councilmember Casissa,
Here.
Vice Mayor Thomas,
Here.
Mayor Ravazio.
Here. Now, if you could join me for a salute to our flag. Flag. Okay, now we are at the moment where anyone who would like to speak in the open time section can approach the microphone. And these are for things that are not on the agenda. And you may take up 2-3 minutes, and we'd love to know who you are.
Well, I'm happy to tell you. So hi, everybody. My name's Karen O'Connor. Taller than maybe this is appropriate for. I live on Manzanita Ave, and I'm here tonight to speak about the ongoing and worsening issue of speeding on Tamalpais Drive, which is a problem that I see firsthand every single day. So while I appreciate the town's effort, which I know there's been a lot of, to improve safety by lowering the speed limit, in practice, it actually seems to have made the problem worse. Drivers who want to speed now appear even more frustrated by those following the lowered speed limit, leading to more aggressive passing and dangerous maneuvers. The intent was really, really great from the council, but the outcome, I think, has actually increased the risk for people. Just kind of background, I walk my dog across Tamalpais Drive about 3 times a day. We always use the flashing crosswalk. At night, my dog wears a bright fluorescent LED leash and collar to ensure visibility. Yet even with all these precautions, cars regularly speed past us, completely ignoring us in the crosswalk. And while I understand there are times when a driver is already too close to the crosswalk to stop, the majority of the time, that's not actually the case. It is extremely discouraging and frankly scary at times to cross Tamalpais Drive. And actually, in a 5-month period during this year, 2025, I personally witnessed 3 separate car accidents on Tamalpais. One was actually outside of Town Hall right here. Another was just outside the fire station. And then a third was just in front of the community center. And people just are going too fast and not paying attention. So my perspective is that a major issue is the lack of actual enforcement of our speeding regulations. And it was great to see Central Marin Police posted at the corner of Chapman and Tamalpais the first day of school. But other than that, there's generally very, very little police presence. And it's clear that drivers know there's little chance of being ticketed. Meanwhile, I'm going to bring this up, but I have firsthand experience of town cadets overzealously focusing on parking enforcement in neighborhoods where it's not really needed. In most cases, this just creates frustration for residents instead of actually addressing the real safety issues. And I believe those funds and efforts could be far better spent on installing speed cameras along the Tamalpais corridor, just like San Francisco has done in various places across the city. These cameras automatically ticket speeding drivers and don't require more police presence. Lowering the speed limit and posting reminders hasn't solved the problem. And until there is real enforcement, whether that's through cameras or other effective means, driver behavior just won't change. And I worry that we're waiting for a serious tragedy to occur before really addressing it. So
Thank you. You've reached your 3-minute limit, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for all of your work on behalf of the community.
Thanks so much.
Well, funny thing, I'm talking about the same thing. So my name's Linda Brune and I live on Manzanita. And I also want to say, first, I was really glad to see the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit and the 20-mile-an-hour going past the little parklet up here. So people would slow down while people are having their nice dinner at the restaurants. However, I am flabbergasted that there is no enforcement of this new speed limit. Cars are still traveling way past the speed limit. I have been honked at. I have been flipped off. I have been raced around as I drive the speed limit on Tamalpais. Crossing the road, as Karen said, is also perilous. I walk or bike across and along this road every day and have been hit, almost hit, more times than I can count. I cross both at Chapman and at Eastman. They both have lights, and cars just pass through, whether I'm halfway through, just starting. It's really, really gotten out of hand. So I implore you to work with the Central Inland Police Department to do speed limit enforcement before someone gets killed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time to come in. Next up,
Don Wilberg, 13 Seminole Avenue. So possibilitizing versus restriction. I've been going to public meetings 51 years. I was on the board of design. I've lived through it. I live the restrictions every day on property rights. So how does this happen? How do we, I look back over these 51 years and I'm just astounded by the amount of new regulations and all the justifications and all that have piled up and piled up. And so how does this happen? And so this is my story, right? So let's say you're the city council. You're in charge of the town property. You've got, you're not getting paid hardly anything at all. You've got to make a bunch of decisions. So eventually you get frustrated and you go, okay, we got to hire somebody who's smart to take care of all these decisions. So you hire that person. And then a little bit later, that person says, you know, if I make the wrong decision, I'm going to get fired. So I'm going to make up this rule. I mean, here's the justification for it. I'm going to get the town council to pass it. And now when somebody comes in, I can just point to it and say, hey, here's the rule. So I can't get fired. Okay, and but now that worked. And then, oh, I got this other little nagging problem. And so here's another rule. And then there's another rule and there's another rule. And pretty soon that smart person gets so busy that they don't have the time. So they have to get an assistant who is now also possibilitizing about new rules. So pretty soon they're so busy. Now there's 3 or 4 people making all these things. Okay. Taxes are going up to pay for all this. And now that smart person, I'm managing all this. I need to get paid more. So the motivation, the way that we have things going is to make restrictions, not being creative and being positive. Okay. So how do we change that? Is there a way to, I'd like to see them make more money by being creative and doing things. Are there things we can do?
thank you for those thoughtful comments. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you. Oh, well, you used up your 3 minutes.
I still haven't heard from the sanitary district.
Sanitary District will be meeting on November 18th. If you want to come then, the Sanitary District will be meeting that night. Thank you.
Rebecca will get your information. We talked after the meeting last time and I didn't get your email or phone number, so I didn't know how to contact you. So Rebecca will get it.
Okay, so is there anyone else in the room who would like to have your 3 minutes of fame? Anybody? Okay, what about online? Is there anybody waiting online?
No hands raised from attendees online and no emailed public comment for open time.
Okay, so I will close the public comment section for open time of this meeting. And next we move on to number 3, which is the interview of the advisory board applicants. The town council will interview the following applicants for consideration for appointment to serve a term on the body that was applied for. So the first up is Parks and Recreation Commissioner. The applicant is Kiko Lamb Hoskins. Are you here, Kiko? Hi, come on up. Okay, so you will need to speak kind of close to the microphone
Okay.
if you can to make sure that all of us hard of hearing folks can hear you well enough. As you've been told what the
Yep.
questions are, so if you wouldn't mind starting with an opening statement.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kiko. My husband and I live in the Chapman neighborhood with our 2 kids, Gemma, who is 2.5, and Reese, 8 months old, and our dog, Sequoia. You will see us walking around a lot, and we actually cross Tamalpais quite a lot every day, too, and people are speeding. We have been in Corte Madera for about 4.5 years, and we really love this community. I used to serve as a block captain for NRG, and I was a master gardener. I'm very active in our Southern Marine Mothers Club, and we try to attend as many town and community events as possible, from the concert in the park to the parade. And Corte Madera has been a wonderful place to raise my family. So I would love this opportunity to give back and help shape the space and programs that make this place so special.
Okay, so what is it specifically about the Parks and Recreation Commission that interests you?
Yeah, I'm interested in the Park and Recreation Commission because I think that parks and programs are what make the town feels connected and alive. As a parent of young children, I've experienced firsthand how important these programs are. From we go to a mini music class in the community center to the playground, community events, and that's where the community happens. Professionally, I'm a software engineer who have worked at big and small companies where I lead big and collaborative projects that require listening to many perspectives, problem solving creatively, and balancing competing priorities, which I think all these skills translate really well to a commission setting.
Okay, next question. What is your familiarity with the Parks and Recreation Master Plan? And what do you see as the challenges moving forward in the next few years?
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with the master plan. I've read through it, and the vision it layouts for maintaining and improving our facilities. It's very clear that there has been a lot of planning that already went in, but also a lot of work still ahead. Some of the challenges that I see including balancing resources and priorities, deciding what improvement to take on first, while maintaining aging facilities and ensuring programs continue to meet the needs of a changing community. Corte Madera is growing more diverse, and residents use our parks in different ways than they did 10 or 20 years ago. To address these challenges, I think we need to keep listening. My goal here would be to ensure all the investment that we make truly reflect what the community values most.
Oh, thank you. Corte Madera has many different types of residents, from example, families with very young children, retirees, single people. As a Parks and Rec Commissioner, how would you balance the interest of these different groups?
Yeah, I think the key to balancing different interests is to start with empathy and listening. Corte Madera is made up of many different types of residents, families with young children like mine, retirees who have been here for a long time, single professionals, and everyone values something slightly differently about our programs and our parks. As a commissioner, I will aim to make sure there's a healthy mix of offerings, space for children to play programs that help older adults to stay active and connected, and events that bring everyone together. I also think we can do more to reach out to people who might not feel represented, new residents, working parents, or people who don't regularly come to meetings, so that the commission's decision reflect the true and full diversity of our town. At the end of the day, parks and recreation are about connection, and that's something that we all share.
Thank you. Next, please describe your strengths and weaknesses as they relate to working with a group, and specifically aiming to how you would reconcile personal differences or opinions with those of the group or those of the policies and regulations established by the town.
I think my biggest strength is collaboration. I'm good at listening to different perspectives and finding common ground. In my professional work, I lead projects with strong opinions and competing priorities. So I've learned how to create space for everyone's voice while keeping the group focused on shared goals. I try to stay calm, organized, and solution oriented even when the discussion gets challenging. I think a weakness of mine could be appearing like a little bit indecisive, just because I try to get all the perspective from everyone, wanting to take it in account for the decision that I will make. And when it comes to problem solving, I focus on transparency. If my personal views ever different from the town policy, I would defer to the established guidelines. I see a commission role as representing the community, not personal opinion, and I would always work to make decisions that serve the wider community.
Okay. And now finally, probably the most difficult question to actually live up to is the commitment question. Members serve at the pleasure of the town council, may be removed at any time by a majority of a council vote. The council would like to emphasize that attending meetings is a fundamental part of every member's duties. Members are expected to attend all regularly scheduled meetings or a minimum of 75% of the meetings per year. The Parks and Rec Commission meets on the fourth Monday of each month, plus occasional special meetings as needed. Meetings begin at 6:30, run approximately 2 hours, and you are required to attend in person. Zoom is not an option except for really extenuating circumstances. So considering these expectations, do you feel you're able to commit to the term that you have applied for the Parks and Rec Commission?
Yes.
And if you say I do, you get to give your closing statement, just a minute or so.
Oh, closing statement. That I did not.
Oh, you didn't know a
prepare for.
closing statement? Well, then just, but without.
It's great.
Just tell us what you like best about Corte Madera.
I really do think that it's a great place to raise a family. Like I have 2 young children and we live really close to a park, so we can just walk there. And people are, I mean, from my perspective, like I do think that people here are friendlier than some of the other towns in Marin, which I really like. And there are just a lot of like resources and programs and free resources out there that I can take my children to. And the parks are great, but there are always things that can be better. So that's why I'm here.
You. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
I love hearing that you feel the town is friendlier than some. So thank you. I agree with you. So
Thank you.
all right. So we'll come back to the council for any follow-up questions. No follow-up questions. Do we open it up for the public to make any comments? Is there anybody in the public who would like to weigh in on this applicant? And if not, is there anybody online?
No hands raised from attendees.
Okay, well then
online.
I'll bring it back to the council for a motion or discussion or whatever is your pleasure.
Well, I would just say, Kiko, thank you so much for being here and for your interest in serving our community. Your remarks were very thoughtful. I especially appreciated that you used the word empathy because I think that's a very important thing to incorporate into local government. So I feel like you seem like exactly the kind of person that we would love to have on the commission.
Was that a motion?
I would move that we appoint Kiko Lamb,
Lamb Hoskins.
thank you, Kiko Lamb Hoskins, to the Parks and Rec Commission.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Beckman,
Yes.
Councilmember Casissa.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Thomas,
Yes.
Mayor Ravazio.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you around. Okay, so coming up next, we have another application, this one for the Climate Action Committee, and the applicant's name is Lay Beisch, or is it Brittany? Oh, Brittany Alana Clipper. Is that you? Come on up.
What?
So we did have two applicants for this position, but due to a need in a family, the other applicant has withdrawn. So you can begin with an opening statement.
Great. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Brittany Clipper Alana. I was recently married and now I have a last name as a middle name and a middle name as a last name.
Okay. We'll get it
It's
straight.
complicated. Yeah, I live in Corte Madera in the Marin Estates neighborhood on Granada Drive with my wife and our almost 6-year-old who just started kindergarten at the Cove School. Go Coyotes. We love the Cove. And professionally, I work in sales and experience design. Currently, I'm also studying design strategy, an MBA in design strategy at the California College of the Arts. So I'm getting a business degree at an art school. Yeah, when I'm not, aside from work and family, I teach Iyengar yoga and I'm an avid hiker up the
Okay.
Ring Mountain daily.
So what is your interest in serving specifically on the Climate Action Committee?
Yeah, so I'm genuinely passionate about the issues and the impact of this committee, and beyond that, I truly believe that I can make an impact. I recently, somewhat randomly, served as interim director of facilities at a charter school in San Francisco, and it was really that experience that pushed me to want to be more engaged in my local community. And I just got a firsthand look at a lot of stuff that goes on at schools that at larger scale affects the climate. And I really think that my skill set could make an impact.
Mhm. Thank you for that. Next, if you could please describe the qualities and experience that you would bring to the committee, including your experience or knowledge related to climate change, sustainability, and/or community outreach.
Sure. Yeah, I think I would sum up my qualities and experience that I would bring into sort of 3 categories: strategic design or strategic planning, collaboration, and motivation. So strategic planning, I'm quite good at, identifying opportunities, finding the resources to use in those opportunities, and then finding ways to measure it and show to the community that that we're making an impact. Collaboration, I really thrive in ideating and collaborating across diverse teams. I've led teams of various sizes and ages, and I just get really energized by engaging with people who we all have a passion for the same end goal. The rest of that question. Oh, yes. Motivation. So much of my career is engaging audiences or building enthusiasm with audiences. And, something that I'm quite good at is really connecting with people by listening, and translating that into, authentic stories that can translate into action.
Okay. What is your familiarity with the town's climate goals, climate action work plan, and/or the Climate Action Committee itself?
I'm pretty familiar. I think I'm probably more familiar than most. But I read through the 90-page climate action plan and have a brief have a brief summary and then after I became interested in this particular committee, I reached out to one of the committee members, Sarah D. Alexander, and connected with her and just really, to get a sense of, am I actually interested in this? And she gave me really great insights into what works, what, areas of improvement, what are the challenges. And so I feel like, again, I think I have a pretty good handle on it.
Right. We put Sarah on just a while ago, so she's happy over there and
Yeah,
enjoying it. I'm
she's
glad to hear
happy.
that.
And I
Hear
think she's
that.
got a really unique background that I personally can learn a lot from.
So last question, or the last subject question is, please describe your strengths and weaknesses as they relate to being a committee member or working with a group. And then specifically, how would you reconcile personal opinions and emotions should they conflict with the committee or the policies and regulations established by the town?
Yeah. Strengths, I'm definitely a people person. My career in sales has been connecting with people. Aside from that, my Clifton strengths um, include, activator, motivator, futurist. I'm a doer. That said, I think some of that has, in my experience, whether in a school setting or professional, some of the feedback has been that many of my ideas are more like 4 or 5 ideas. And so maybe consider what's the min viable, and so, and I love that feedback. I like I said, I tend to be sort of somebody who loves to ideate and come up with ideas and brainstorm and enjoy and relish in the feedback of like, take it down a notch.
Thank you. Yes, I did learn from our trustworthy manager that you can have too many good ideas. Is such a thing, and it's true. Okay, so the big commitment question, do you really have time for this? The Climate Action Committee meets the third Wednesday of each month from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Committee members are required to attend in person and are expected to read the agenda packet typically posted Friday prior to the meeting and come prepared to discuss agenda items. Committee members may take on research and/or outreach tasks to advance the committee's goals outside of meeting times. Considering these expectations, do you feel you are able to commit to the term you have applied for on the Climate Action Committee?
I do.
And I now pronounce you. No, I'm kidding. You can make a closing statement if you want.
Yeah, sure. So, some of the feedback I observed I was virtually at the last meeting of the Climate Action Committee. I chatted with Sarah. I believe that the most effective climate action plans are those that people actually embrace and participate in. And I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges so far in that committee and maybe others. And so if I'm appointed to this committee, I plan to bring a human-centered strategy to better understand the needs, behaviors, and motivations of the residents of Corte Madera for the short term and also looking to the future.
Thank you very much. Okay, so is there anyone on the council who has any additional questions for our fine applicant? What about in the audience? Is there anyone who would like to weigh in? And is there anyone online who would like to say something? Okay,
ahead.
no. So I'll bring it back to the council for any comments, discussion, or a motion. Rosa, looks like you got it.
Thank you so much for interviewing, and you've exhibited a lot of enthusiasm, and I like the idea of listening. That's always important. And also looking at what is actionable. There's no point in putting plans in place that no one's going to actually adhere to unless they are, forced. So I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Brittany is it Clipper
Yeah.
Clipper Alana to the Climate Action Committee.
I'll second.
Councilmember Andrews? Councilmember Beckman?
Yes.
Councilmember Casissa? Vice Mayor Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Ravazio?
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Congratulations. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're involved in climate action and want to continue to be. Appreciate your time and efforts. So next up, we have something really fun. It was how long ago was it? 2023?
I have been waiting for this for over 3 years.
3 years. And that's lightning speed in a small town, I have to say. So
I actually, thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm excited to welcome Rachel Hebert to the town council meeting tonight for what I'm envisioning as a virtual ribbon cutting of sorts for the new mural that Rachel just finished painting on the Warnham undercrossing at Warnham Drive under Highway 101. It's beautiful, it's colorful, the detail is stunning. And I just looked in my emails and she first copied me on an email October 10th, 2022, inquiring about the possibility of painting a mural in this space. And Councilmember Casissa can remember when he was still the chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission at the end of 2019 when he asked me to inquire about painting a mural in this space. And we were told no several times. And then Rachel and her vision turned the tide with Caltrans. And because of the lightness of the colors, it still allowed for people to see the infrastructure behind the paint. And because they're still able to do visual inspections of the space, they approved this mural for that corridor. And now I've got some photos. The first one is a panorama pieced together of several pictures that our code enforcement officer, Adam Wiley, took. And then he spliced them together. But then Lorena can just shuffle through one by one so that you can see the details that went into what's like a portal into another universe. And the amazing thing is these creatures are life-size and educational. And it was really neat to go out and visit the site and watch people passing by engage with Rachel while she was painting. Someone FaceTimed their daughter to show them the progress. People stopped by with their toddlers to look at that. People asked about the history and when it's going to be done. It really became a community talking point. And the colors and the detail are, like I said, stunning. So after we go through all of the pictures, it will land on the mural one more time in a panorama. And then I'd love to call Rachel up to the mic to present her with some flowers for making our world just a little bit brighter. And she can talk about her work.
I don't have any statements. I can't believe that it has been that long. I remember, so I just used to drive through that underpass on my way to Trader Joe's. And I had this vision that was just like unrelenting, and it was post-pandemic time and everything was kind of dark. And I was just like, I wonder if I could do that. Like, what would be involved? And so one day I just, walked in and said, how could we make this happen? And like Rebecca said, it was at first a no from Caltrans. And in one day, this guy who I was emailing said, actually, do you have a design? Could you just send me your idea after saying no? And I sent it to him, and he, in the space of an hour, turned around and said, I think I can offer you preliminary approval because it's so bright. And I don't know what, so if anyone wants to visit my website, this isn't really what I normally do. So it's a little bit funny because when I was making I was doing it on my iPad and I kept being like, I think I'm going to make it like really light and bright and happy and pink and pastel. And And then I got the yes from the guy. So I don't know. That's just how it went. But it's really been a pleasure doing it. And I had this idea to crowdfund it, to not ask for any money from the town, and just see what the community response was and what level of support would come in. And it worked. And it's a really interesting idea, I think, going forward, to think about public projects actually being supported by the community members who are most impacted by them. So that's just something I've kind of been chewing on. And just anecdotally, to be in contact with people every day was just so cool. You don't get that working in a studio. People, it's like the best thing about public art, people rolling down their windows and yelling, "Thank you so much." And it's beautiful, and encouraging me day after day, because I was there for weeks on end, and they'd go, "It's looking great, good progress," And I got to know some of the cyclists and people who would walk by. And yeah, it was just a very cool experience. So thank you for
Thank you.
saying yes. And
Thank you for asking the question to begin with. I remember we did hear from Caltrans that the reason they liked the light colors was because it would help them to actually see if there were any cracks or structural issues. So you were actually doing a favor for Caltrans by giving them that nice light
yes, although
composition.
I may have also forgotten that part when I was inspired to do a faux cracked concrete effect on the surround. So,
It's Trump lawyer, right? They'll have to just get over it.
It's look quite realistic.
That's hilarious.
I only realized after the fact. I was like, oh, right. Yeah, they really wanted to be able to check for cracks. So
a serious question, do they have post-approval? I mean, do they get to see it now and approve it, or do we assume that if they want to, they'll come and look at it? We're just going to let it go.
Done.
Good.
I don't know. There was never any mention of that, was there? Is there an inspection? Do they? Okay.
Well, it's beautiful. I've driven by there many times, and public art is one of those things to me that's so important, but it so often doesn't get done because there's so many other priorities. And at Cal Cities, there was a presentation by a town who said, you don't need an arts commission, you don't need an arts council, just say yes. Just start saying yes. And I thought, that's what we did here. So spread the word. Since your mural has started, I've heard from 3 or 4 people who say, there's a blank wall right up here when you drive up into Mankey Park. It really needs something on it. What do you think we should? So let us know what you want to do next. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but I have a feeling I have some support.
Keep in mind, on some of these projects, you may not have to go through Caltrans. You probably just have to go through the town. It'll cut the period.
Maybe just a 2-year process.
I just want to thank you, because I know I met you over 3 years ago, and it just seems like going through the town process was like a 2-month thing. And I appreciate Rebecca also dealing with Caltrans, trying to get through their process. And I give you credit for doing the GoFundMe thing to involve the community. I know the town chipped in with in-kind donation, I think providing the fencing, helping out that way. And then even our local businesses, I think Tamalpais Paints helped out a lot also.
Yes,
so it's really a collaboration, community, the town, the business, and then you stepping forward to go, hey, I got this great piece of art. And it turned out great. I was in Total Wines today, and the manager's talking about it, how great it is.
How fun.
Also, the Corte Madera Community Foundation was a supporter, right? They supported your project, or at least I read that they wrote you a check. Maybe there's still one waiting somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, does anyone else have anything?
Oh, this.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much for your contribution to our town. I know that getting an agency like Caltrans to yes, and this is not just for you, but all of our staff, that is literally moving heaven and earth. So it's just incredible that this all came together. It's incredible that that you were able to make this happen, and that our team was able to make this happen. That partnership worked, and I just want to thank you for. I mean, it's not just that it's beautiful; it like really changes the experience of driving under that underpass, which is something that a whole lot of people in this town do every single day or multiple times a day. And it's been like just kind of dark and dingy and just like, you know, it doesn't make your life worse, but then this mural arrives and suddenly you're like, I just feel happy driving past this thing. So it's
Yeah, that's
amazing.
so great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I had a couple kids tell me it was sick, and I was
Yes, that it is.
It is sick. It's really good.
And thank you, Rebecca, personally. I thought you did a lot. We were like emailing. I wouldn't, the trail would go quiet for a little while and I'd be like, it's me again. Just any news? So yeah, required a lot of patience and
And we do have your phone number, address, and email address for the next one.
You said you live
I'm
here
going to Mexico tomorrow. So
well, you can take a few weeks off. Did you say you live here in Corte Madera?
I live in Tiburon.
Oh, okay. Well, let's make sure we have her on the invitation list, huh? We
Thank you.
have a volunteer appreciation dinner that we'd really like for you to come to so we could acknowledge you there.
Thank you.
You'll hear from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Thanks.
Anything else, Rebecca? Thanks so much. We are lucky. We are so fortunate in this town to have talent and motivation and a good volunteer spirit. So thank you very much. Okay, so up next, we're only at the consent calendar, guys.
Pick up the pace.
So I'm going to work on it. Don't worry. So the consent calendar are those items that have either been previously discussed or do not require further discussion unless somebody thinks they do. Is there anything that we need to pull off the consent calendar? Anybody in the audience? Anybody online? No? Okay, so can we have a motion then on the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion, move the consent calendar.
Second.
Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Beckman,
Yes.
Councilmember Casissa.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Thomas.
Yes.
Mayor Ravazio.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Okay, up to number 6A, consideration and possible action to introduce an ordinance amending Title 3, Chapter 3.40, the purchasing system to update, clarify, and make the purchasing process more efficient by amending Section 3.4.050 to clarify that the town manager may approve contracts of up to $100,000, amending Sections 3.40135, 3.40160, and 3.40170 to increase the dollar amounts for competitive bidding requirements. I don't think I will read this whole entire thing. There are more, and I'm sure that in our staff report, we will go through those things. So I'll turn it over to our wonderful town manager, Adam.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Ravazio and council members. Actually very excited to be able to bring this, what we're calling a cleanup and an update to the town's purchasing ordinance to you tonight. It's frankly been a section of the municipal code that actually Amy and I have been discussing cleaning up for the greater part of a year now. And so while I think I'm listed as in the byline as this staff report is from me, I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge that this has been supported heavily by Amy as well, and then in the later stages also, but with Chris Petlock, our finance director. And so it has been a team effort. So just to start off, what section of the municipal code we're actually updating as part of this proposed introduction of this ordinance. We like to call it the purchasing ordinance, but the main purpose of the purchasing ordinance is to establish efficient procedures for the purchase of materials, supplies, equipment, and services at the lowest possible cost, commensurate with the quality needed, and to clearly define authority for the purchasing function. And so that's what this section of the municipal code is about. And the proposed update to the purchasing ordinance intends to accomplish several things. First and foremost, actually Phoebe Golden presented the town's new environmentally preferable purchasing policy. I think it was at the last meeting, actually, EPPP. And at that time, we had mentioned that we will be incorporating a reference to it in our purchasing ordinance. So we're back tonight, making sure we do that. And we also included an incentive to comply with the EPPP in this particular ordinance. And it's sort of the similar incentive that we give to local vendors as well, meaning those vendors that we may purchase from that are within town of Corte Madera. Similarly, we are doing the same for those that comply with the EPPP, and that is essentially making their bid essentially a 5% lower amount for the purposes of lowest responsible bidder cost or price that they're actually bidding on. Secondly, and I think this is really important, and one thing that we'll talk about this in a second, but it clarifies the dollar amount threshold at which town council approval of purchases is required. And the current ordinance does not have an explicit threshold for many purchases. And this has been something that I think has led to an inconsistent approval process in the past, frankly. And so I think this is really important to clean this up and just make it very clear what the threshold will be in the future for town council approval of purchases. Third, it eliminates outdated ways of conducting purchases. This is just, I think the original ordinance was written in 1989, so there's references to certain ways of noticing and purchase orders that we just don't currently use. And so we're eliminating some of that language. And finally, it raises the purchase amount thresholds at which certain procedural bidding requirements in the ordinance. It's difference between open market and contract, but it raises those thresholds in an effort to maintain some operational efficiencies, but also maintain the fiscally responsible competitive processes. And so in the staff report, there's an itemized list of all the proposed changes in this ordinance and an underline and strike through version of the proposed amended ordinance. It's included in attachment 1. So I'm not going to go through every single change, but it's there for both the council and then members of the public who may have had an opportunity to read the staff report. So with respect, and we can pull up, oh, right, you have it already up there. That's great. So I think we recognize that regarding the new approval and procedural thresholds proposed, it can be a little confusing and hard to sort of pull out the relevant thresholds within the ordinance as written. So with Amy's help, we put together this chart up here, which is intended to sort of simplify how this is all going to work. You can see the left-hand side here, the purchase amount that just specifies the dollar amount of the purchases under the proposed ordinance, the purchase type. So there's really 2 different types of purchases in the ordinance, those related to supplies, equipment, and general services, and those related to professional services. And those are typically, professional services are those that are we've brought before you for design and engineering services in the past. It could be CEQA, a consultant on the planning side, for example, as well. That's what really professional services refers to. The process in the third column here, and you can see the only area where there's no competitive process is $1,000 or under purchases. And if there are a certain purchase that is accepted or exempt from the bid policy, in which under the open market procedure, I think there's I forget, there's a list in one of the sections of the ordinance, and we can go over that if need be. And then the last column just showing the approval at the end of the day where the approval lands. And so again, you can see for professional services and for the formal contract, those would be town council approvals, really anything over $100,000. In general, these thresholds have been raised from 75,000 to 100,000. I think part of that is reflecting, again, it's not eliminating competitive processes for purchases, but it's allowing a little bit more flexibility. And I will say there is some operational efficiency associated with between the open market procedure and then if you go into the formal contract, it's a more administrative work to do so. And then finally, just a reminder that all purchases still really have to be within the approved budget, town budget. And there's also an explicit provision added in the ordinance that precludes bid splitting, which is this idea of basically reducing a contract or purchase amount to get under a threshold so that you don't have to go through some process. And that is expressly and explicitly prohibited as part of this ordinance. So that is really the staff report I have for you tonight. I'm here for any questions. Also, I think Chris and Amy are here as well if there are any questions that they can answer better than I.
Thank you, Adam. Are there any questions from council?
I just have a couple. They're more procedural because there's words in here I haven't seen before. There's one it says about approved vendor catalog. What is that? How does somebody get, what's the process for that? And again, I apologize. It's just,
No,
it's been since 89. So-
honestly, I think that was also a term that I also asked Chris about and said, I don't really refer to these as vendor catalog, what is the vendor catalog? But in talking to Chris, essentially those are all the vendors that are approved and are legal entities with which we can actually make payments to. And so we have about a running list, or all of the list of vendors are in the Tyler system, essentially in our financing software system. If we haven't made a payment, and we're talking about doing this, but if we haven't made a payment in about 5 years, they come off the list. And so vendors come on and off that list as long as they're legally able to receive payment from the town. So we check the identification of the vendors, and if they are a legal entity, then they make it onto the list. So it's pretty fluid and flexible.
Okay. And then there's also a thing here about there's a centralized purchasing office, and there's also a position of purchasing agent, like where and who.
They didn't tell me when I signed up for the job as town manager that I was also going to be wear those hats as well. But no, yeah, those are official titles and roles that the municipal code names for a town manager to be those positions.
Okay.
So that's really within the town manager's office is the purchasing office.
The sub office.
Yes. Am I right? Yeah.
And you may have hit upon this, I don't know. Do we give any priority to minority-owned vendors, businesses, or local businesses at all?
Not in this, no, not as part of, sorry, say it again. Yeah, sorry, local, but there's not a express position in this ordinance.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Anyone else? Questions? Okay, turning it to the public. Is there anyone here who would like to? I see just 3 valiant staff members out there. So nothing from the public. Is there anybody online who would like to speak to this issue?
No hands raised from attendees online and no emailed public comment for this item.
Okay, so I'll bring it back to the council for any deliberation and motion. Anybody? Fred's turn.
I can make the motion. I make the motion that we introduce an ordinance amending Title III, Chapter 3.40 Purchasing System to update and clarify process and rules related to purchases of materials, supplies, equipment, and professional and general services.
Second.
Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Beckman,
Yes.
Councilmember Casissa.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Thomas,
Yes.
Mayor Ravazio.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam, for that great, exciting work. You know, it's the devil's in the details, right? Okay, so we don't have any business items tonight, so that brings us just to council reports, and we'll go back to Adam to start.
Well, thank you very much for that. I just have a couple of quick ones today. I did want to report out at this meeting just that we did have on last Tuesday the town. We haven't done this in the past, but it's something I felt like was needed at this point in time to really come together as a management team. About 13 of us, really our leadership team and those that are department heads and other managers in the organization with a lot of decision-making authority, and bring everyone together. We have some new faces on that team as well. And so it made sense to sort of do a retreat. And so we did an offsite at the Mill Valley Golf Clubhouse. I want to thank our friends in Mill Valley for giving that to us free of charge. That was nice to do. It was also a nice location, just given that I spent many hours myself personally at the golf course there growing up. So it was a sort of a full circle moment there. So it was a really great day. We did have a facilitator. I think we got a lot out of it. Not only strategic planning and thinking about ways that we can improve as an organization, some of our opportunities that we want to pursue to better serve our community, some of the things that we maybe are struggling with and that we need to do better as a team with. And so it was an opportunity to really just be honest and share how we're doing and how we can get better. And so we will be getting a summary of that event. And I think it will help guide us over the next couple of years, if not more, as an organization about really strengthening the team and forming good relationships and communication across our departments. So, and then secondly, one thing I wanted to note, and I'm not sure if you did receive the invitations, but I did get an invitation to attend. It's actually the same day as our volunteer dinner, Friday, November 14th, 1 to 3 p.m. There was a celebration for the renovated village, pedestrian areas of the village.
Wait,
So if you haven't, I will make sure that Monty reaches out all through.
The Marin Villages, the support.
Oh, no, sorry. No, the Village Shopping Center.
Oh, the Village Shopping Center.
They had
Okay.
they've renovated their entire central
the outdoor landscape.
outdoor landscaping area. So that will be done that same day. So I'll make sure that the council gets an invite as well to that if you haven't already. I wasn't sure. That is really, I'll just regarding the intergenerational center, I'm still waiting for the email to pop into my inbox regarding the landlord signing the lease. I have signed the lease. We're all in agreement on all the terms. I think we're just trying to track down the appropriate person on the landlord side. So that is exciting news. And with that, I'll end my report.
Okay. Before we move on, can I just ask one question? The summary that you mentioned of your retreat, is that something you could share with the council just so we could kind of understand that?
Absolutely. No, I intend to.
Make us, I think, more empathetic, as you say, for the challenges of the staff. Great. Okay, who's first up here?
So mine's pretty short. So today I attended the Chamber Board of Directors meeting, and it was really, really great for me to see them, to meet them all in person for the first time. And they had a lot of really good ideas. Amy Lyle was also in attendance, and there are some things that are probably going to come up I was really happy to hear about that are going to be pretty exciting and kind of a big, if we move forward with it, kind of a big deal going forward. And then also there will be a presentation from the chamber at the December 2nd meet.
Planning on the second meeting in December, which would be, I think, the 16th.
Oh, the 16th. Okay. All right, great. So we'll be hearing from them about their needs and how we might be able to help.
That's it? James, you got anything?
Yes. Let me see, I attended the TAM meeting and it was really broken up into two parts. The first part was they were talking about new technology and stuff like that. And the second was the actual TAM meeting where the chief item of discussion was congestion on 101 and the fact that the HOV lanes, instead of using either the Sonoma existing rates, hours, or the Marin hours, or the Golden Gate Bridges commute hours, they decided to use the commute hours for the other 5 bridges in the area, okay, which has caused a major backup. So basically, we sent a letter to them repeating all the points that were made before they actually implemented this HOV. And one, the letter asks them to change the rates, the hours to 6 to 9 a.m. and from 3 to 6:30 in the p.m. Don't wait 6 months before you study this issue. And the third is if your mitigation measures are going to be turning on the ramp metering lights, make certain you don't screw up the city streets while doing this. So bottom line, we're asking Caltrans and to change it, and they will do it if they want to, or if they don't want to. The other more interesting thing was sort of a series of presentations on future technology. And the key things that I took away from there is San Francisco has speed cameras, and I believe the only reason why they can have them is that there is special legislation, sort of like Marin and a couple of counties got special legislation to regulate e-bikes. Okay. Well, if it's traffic cameras, San Francisco has that special legislation. The second thing is that and this was pointed out by a San Francisco employee, the state controls authorization for autonomous vehicles. There's currently approximately 800 Waymo cars driving in and around San Francisco. So if we're worried about, somebody coming over to Marin and driving Waymos over here, that will be governed by 2 state agencies. Let me think the last thing. Oh, and one thing I've noticed from driving around the Embarcadero and Marina District and so on is, since there's lots of speed cameras along there, if you're worried about getting a ticket, just go with the flow of the Waymo cars, because you will probably not get a ticket for speeding. And when I'm saying that, I'm not being snide or anything. I'm just saying, sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm going to follow the Waymo. And you probably will not get a letter from the city asking you to send them money. So that's it.
Thanks very much. Down here?
I always have a few. 10/22, I attended MC meeting. I was reappointed to Marin Transit for a 2-year term. And I was also appointed to the Marin County Disaster Council Citizen Corp, also known as D3, for a 2-year term also. And I think that position actually co-chairs with Supervisor Rodoni. 10/24, myself, Eli, and also, excuse me, Rebecca attended a memorial service for Mark Milberg, who was a council member up in Novato. I think sometimes people don't realize that we just don't sit on council. We're sitting on other agencies and we build relationships and friendships. Sometimes either council members, even staff members from like either TAM or CMSA or Central Marin Police. So again, His loss, I think, was really felt in Novato. I think they did a really good job. And if we can, if it's okay with you, maybe we just do a moment of silence before we adjourn our meeting tonight for him. 10:27, virtually I attended the Park and Rec Commission meeting. 10:30, we had an RVPA meeting. That was mostly a closed door session regarding lease negotiations with the town of Ross. Yesterday, I attended a Marin Transit meeting. We had a two-part meeting. Meeting number one was just our general meeting. One of the things, we just got a quick update on the mascots program, which will be coming back to us in a couple months or so. And then part two is we looked at the short range transit plan, which actually is a 10-year plan. So it's not very short range. What that gets into, BART is facing this mostly, and so is Muni. Transit agencies face financial cliffs. So for Marin Transit, I think it's 29 or so, where basically there's no more reserves left and you're running a deficit. So it's looking at that now and trying to plan that out. It's hard to increase revenue because most of revenue is coming from Measure AA. And right now, Marin Transit, I think, charges like $1 for a ride to provide a service. So it's looking at that plan. And then the last thing is today, Pat, myself, Adam, and Rosin, we met on site at the new intergenerational center. I'll say new because even though you haven't signed the lease, it's kind of a done deal. That was mostly just to go through the process with Rosin, mostly looking at the construction aspects of it, where we're putting walls and stuff like that. So that's kind of part one. Part two is we'll get more into the furniture and that kind of details. Pretty much age-friendly kind of signed off on what we're looking at, again, for the wall part, bathroom where that's going, Julie's office for the chamber and all that stuff. So that'll help Adam be able to move forward with construction bids so we can keep this thing going. And that's it. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Eli.
The only thing I have that wasn't already mentioned is on October 28th, we had a Central Marin Sanitation Agency ad hoc committee meeting. We will hear more about where that item stands at our ST2 meeting in 2 weeks, but I'll just say that it was a very productive meeting, and I felt that the committee made a lot of progress in terms of incorporating suggestions that originated with SD2 and our fantastic attorney to protect our agency.
Okay, and I just have a couple things too. As Fred mentioned, we got to see the designer's take on what she wants to do to make the space of Andy's Market work as an intergenerational center. And I think she had some really great ideas and tucked things in and got enough storage and managed to make the space work really well. I love the sliding walls. They're actually partition walls that roll on the floor so you can change the configurations of the space any way you want. So super creative, really good. And then I got to go over to Mankey Park with Mr. Andrews, who didn't mention it, so I will. And we saw what is pretty much the final drawings for the renovations to the park that will make it much more accessible and I believe will result in net increase in seating space. These designers have really got that they're not just designing a park, they're designing an amphitheater / park combination. So they're really working on how to make it so people can sit and enjoy the music everywhere. And then the only thing, I don't know if this is appropriate time to mention it or next on the draft agenda, but I have experienced the Tamalpais effect, as people are saying, but we knew from the beginning that it was going to take people a while to adjust to the new speed limit. But now that we've given them enough time, I would love to encourage some strategic enforcement, during rush hour. Let's have a few flashing red lights out there on the old boulevard, on the old avenue, so people will know. Because people say it won't work, but if you look at Miller Avenue in Mill Valley, nobody speeds on that road because so many people get caught.
One thing, if I can just add to that, I've noticed the same thing on San Clemente and Paradise. San Clemente, I think, was cut to 30, and Paradise in front where Nugget Market is, I think down the Cove, was cut to 25. Nobody's going those speed limits. They're going a lot unless there's backed up traffic. And I know Chief Norton is limited sometimes in resources, but I think we should reach out to him.
Yeah, I'll reach out. They did have a few officers actually just get approved for solo patrolling.
Great job for a rookie to stop some speeders on Tamalpais. Okay, so anything else from anybody other than next point is the discussion of the draft agenda. Does anyone have anything to add or suggest to Adam? And if not, it will be time to adjourn. And as Fred suggested, I would love to adjourn the meeting in honor and in remembrance of Mark Milberg of Novato. We are adjourned.